Hello there and welcome to this beginner tutorial for ProfitView. In this video I will show you how to use ProfitView's internal syntax execution system instead of relying on the legacy method that was used in the previous video. I will then call this command set whenever a specific condition is met on my TradingView chart. This will handle both longs and shorts. Let's start by opening ProfitView. This is done by clicking the puzzle piece in the top right and selecting the ProfitView extension. I prefer to have the extension icon pinned to my bar, therefore I click the pin button next to the extension name. ProfitView also shows me on this icon if there has been an error. The green box around the number tells me that all of the previous commands which I ran executed correctly. If the box was red, there has been an error. The number inside the box tells me how many commands has been executed. Clicking the icon provides me with some information regarding the status of the application, as well as the balances on connected accounts. Many of these interface elements are clickable buttons which opens a specific part of ProfitView. I click the button that takes me directly into the PV Alerts tab. This is the place where I give all my commands to ProfitView to buy, sell, place and close orders, as well as test new syntax. Let us begin by giving a name to our first set of commands. I'll give it the name, "This is a tutorial." Don't worry too much about all the different buttons and settings you can set here. In most cases these can be left as is by default, but I generally uncheck the once per bar checkbox. You can hover your cursor over any of these options to display their tooltip. The function of each of these is outside the scope of this tutorial. On the left side of our command input editor, there are a couple of buttons. In the previous tutorial I manually executed the alert by setting the trigger price above the current price. If I was instead using this system back then, I could have simply clicked the Run buttons to manually execute my order. If I want to test my commands and do not want it to place any orders or do any trading on the exchange, I can use the Test buttons instead. The reason why there are two Run and two Test buttons will be explained later. For now, let's head onto the text editor. This is where I can type in the same message that I wrote in the previous video alert and have it executed. Let's do that now and start with the exchange. After typing only this letter, I get a range of autocomplete options. Here I can see a brief description of the specific commands it suggests as well. 3 of the commands share the exact same description. This is because there are multiple options that does the same thing. Some people want to write as little as possible, and as such, an E on its own is sufficient. While others want to be more verbose and write exchange in its entirety. Then there is X, which I guess is sort of a middle ground. You can choose whichever style you prefer, but for this tutorial I will try to be as verbose as possible. Therefore I can select exchange either with my mouse or by pressing the down button on my keyboard. Or I can write it without bothering with the autocomplete. I set it to Deribit testnet. Next I will fill in account and set it the same as in the previous video. Let's go to the account page quickly and make sure it's still there. Lastly, I will define our symbol, and as recalled from the previous video, this is symbol equals BTC-perpetual. If I was unsure about the symbol, I could have used the symbol searcher by clicking the Insert Symbol button, which will eventually lead me to the same symbol browser that was used in the previous video. I search for perp to find the perpetual and click the Insert Syntax button and get the exchange and symbol data filled. I don't need it though, since it has already been filled, and hold Ctrl and Z on the keyboard to undo the last change, removing the line that was just added. Now let us fill in the order specifics. Side equals long. Quantity equals 100%. And a type equals market. With the identical commands created, I run it by clicking either of the Run buttons. It doesn't matter which of the two in this case, and the order does indeed execute as expected, and I have an open long position on the exchange. I close the position manually in order to return to the same state I was in before. Now we know how to open the longs, but what about shorts? Looking back at the commands, I could open a short position simply by changing the long to a short. This means, however, that I would have to create a whole new set of commands, one that works with the longs and one that works with shorts. Let me show the quote-unquote improper way to do this first. I click the New Alert button and copy all the text from my long commands down to my new short commands. Next, I change the side to short and give it a new unique name. This is a short. I will also change the name of the first alert to This is a long to keep the identifiers consistent. Let's run our short and observe that it does indeed open a short position on the exchange. The problem with this method is that it gets difficult to maintain. If I want to edit the logic regarding my long and short entries, I have to edit both sets of commands. For example, let's add syntax for closing any open positions before it attempts to open a new one. I add a close equals position type equals market at the top in order to immediately close the open position I have as a market type order. If you recall, I had an open short position previously, and by running this, I will first close my short, then open a long with 100% of my available funds. Now, because of the way we have this set up, we would need to remember to copy this new command down to our short entry commands below. Instead of having this possible point of failure, let's instead do longs and shorts in the same set of commands and have the side command change based on a variable. To do this, I set side equals bracket side close bracket. The bracketed side is a variable defined inside ProfitView, and it is defined based on the name of the command set which is currently running. Since the name of this set ends with a long, ProfitView will automatically set the side variable to long. As the note below the name says, the name can be a comma-separated list, meaning you can have multiple names for the same command set. Therefore, I add in comma, this is a short to the name, and delete the old short command set. If you want to know more about unified alerts, go to the commands page and click the link at the top, or scroll down to the info regarding this feature. Back to our command set, I now effectively have the same setup as before, with two uniquely named command sets, except in this case both command sets share the same syntax, and the side is variably determined by the short and the long in the name. We now have a reason for having two buttons available to us. To set the side variable to long, I can press the green long button. And if I want to run or test the shorts, I can press the short button. If you are doing this on a spot exchange and you need to use the buy and the sell keywords instead, change the long and short in the name of this command set to buy and sell. And if you need to press the buttons for testing or running the syntax, you must hold the Alt button down. Hovering your cursor over the buttons displays this bit of information in the tooltip. Now I am able to manually close and open new positions, so let's look at how we can hook this up to a TradingView indicator to automate this process. This tutorial is not regarding optimized trading strategies, so I will be using the simple moving average crossing as my condition, as it is a very simple condition that won't require me to explain the logic behind the indicator in depth. This strategy is in most cases not profitable, and I strongly recommend no one to use this for actual trading, but it should hopefully suffice for illustration purposes on how you can automate trading using your own strategy of choice. First, I add in two moving averages to my chart. Next, I set the indicator settings to the averages I want to compare. I'll have one that takes the average price over a short period, let's say 12. Then I set the other to take the average price over a longer period. I'll go for 55. Next, I create a new alert. There are a few ways to create a new alert on TradingView. The first way is to click the three-dotted icon on the indicator I want to use and click Add Alert on this indicator. I can alternatively click the Add Alert button in the top right or press the associated hotkey Alt-A. This will be my long entry, thus I specify my condition to be the 12-period moving average. Crossing up the 55-period moving average. I set it to trigger once per bar close. Next, set the notification settings to whatever you want. It has no impact on ProfitView. I give the alert a name. This is also optional. Finally, I reach the alert message text. This is where I will call the command set I created earlier inside ProfitView. To do this, I write the name I gave the command set, which is "This is a long." ProfitView will see this message and compare it to possible names of command sets which I have created. It will detect that I have a command set with this name, and thus execute it. And since we have a side identifier in the name, our side variable will be set specifically to long. I click the Create button, and we are all set for automating our long entries. Now let's set up our shorts. Create a new alert. Condition is 12 moving average. Crossing down. 55-period moving average. Once per bar close. Some optional name if you want. And lastly, this is a short as the message. I now have a completed automated system for entering longs and shorts using the moving average indicator. With the alerts set up, my indicator's condition data has been copied over to TradingView's alert servers, and I no longer need to have the indicators clutter my chart. That's it for this tutorial for ProfitView. If you require further assistance, you can join the ProfitView Discord linked in the description, check the ProfitView wiki also linked below, or look for any other tutorial videos I have on this subject. Happy automating!